Next, we have another email. This one from Lily Woodhouse. She says, "Hello, Phil. I'm so excited about the Mandarin Blueprint Method. I used to go to classes, use textbooks, have exams, but as I needed to move, I wasn't able to continue with my classes and even tried to learn by myself, but I didn't succeed. One of my goals is to be able to read books in Chinese because I love books and to talk with my friends back in China. And as I am working on my own blog, I imagine it in Spanish, English, and the wow factor would be Chinese. And maybe, once I succeed, I'll be able to apply to a different job opportunity. I hope you have a great week ahead." Well, Lily, I love this series of, this is kind of, interestingly enough, this is sort of almost answering the question I just brought up about the, in the Mandarin Blueprint community. But so what she's saying here, I've noticed, Luke and I have both noticed that at the moment, our main source of new customers is people who have tried something else, like a Duolingo or maybe Chinese Pod or something like that, and not found it to be just not quite good enough. It's not that there wasn't something about it that was good, but that they didn't find that it was getting them to fluency, or at least that they didn't feel like they were making progress. That's a huge part of it. It's like if you do a Duolingo lesson or a Chinese Pod lesson, you are making progress, technically speaking, but you might not feel like it. So like that's an important element to it, because it doesn't really matter if you are making progress. If you don't feel like it, you're not going to be likely to keep going. So this is another situation. In this case, what she used to do was classes and textbooks and exams. And that gave her some structure. But then she had to move away. And so she tried to do it by herself and didn't succeed. Our purpose is to give you structure, but not have the bad teaching methods of a classroom and not be quite so structured. It's like it's structured in the sense that it's linear and follow these steps, but there's a lot of your personality that goes into it. It's fun. You get to shoot these little movie scenes, and you get to follow a curriculum that shows you exactly where your progress is. And so I'm sure that you're going to have a great time with the course, Lily, and you'll definitely be able to read books, no problem. Like that's the core sort of strength of Mandarin Blueprint, is that we'll get you learning Chinese characters like nothing else. But learning Chinese characters helps you with speaking a ton. And the reason why is because, and I've made this point before, but it's always worth reiterating, reading is the fastest way to acquire language. And so if you're able to read a lot, you're going to see vocabulary and build up your passive vocabulary. Now, what does that do? What that means is that when you're in a situation of speaking, the word you need comes to your head faster because you've been reading a lot. So it is true that I suppose if you're not speaking at all, that your pronunciation might suffer a little bit. And so there's a phenomenon of sort of shooting and missing that'll happen from time to time, where you go to say something and you just, when you say it, because maybe you're trying to rush, or maybe you're trying to usually it's because you're rushing, you will say it a little bit off, like you'll get the tones wrong, or you'll just flub the word because your mouth muscles aren't trained up enough, in which case, yeah, you should do some more practicing of speaking. But that's just the process of activating the language. And activating the language is far more fun and quick than building up passive vocabulary. And the fastest way to build up passive vocabulary is read, read, read. And so like you can imagine that you enter some scenario and you need to speak to somebody about, where do I go pay my gas bill? And if you don't read a lot, then it might be lost on you which words to use. But if you do read a lot, then when the time comes to actually go speak, the lag time between thinking about what you want to say and saying it will be shorter. And so in your native language, that lag time is so short that you can't even perceive it. It's almost as if you're discovering what you want to say as you're saying it, but that's not the case with your second language. With your second language, you usually have a little bit of lag time that you can perceive to some degree. And that is something that, you're going to want to diminish, and that's exactly what reading does. It diminishes that lag time because you've seen the words in context enough that you're able to, it just pops into your head faster. It's something that just is a phenomenon of having read a lot. It's not a thing you can try to do. It just happens as a result of, it's a natural phenomenon that comes as a result of reading all the time. So for sure, you're going to get better at reading, and that's going to in turn make you better at speaking. And of course, you want to keep practicing your pronunciation from the pronunciation mastery course and those cards. And then when you do your sentences, you want to try to shadow and read them out loud and things like that. And then, of course, when you get enough passive vocabulary, having a language exchange is a great way of spending your time. But ultimately, the word popping into your head fast enough comes from input. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from speaking a lot. Speaking a lot is the step after the input. And that's always important to reiterate.
谢谢你观看我们的这个视频. If you found this video valuable and you'd like us to help you reach fluency and literacy in Mandarin Chinese as fast as possible without all the headache of traditional learning methods, just head to mandarinblueprint.com to learn more. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell below to be notified every time we release a new video. And of course, 保重.